Marxism is one of the most popular international relations theories. However, in today's video, we're going to critique this theory using empirical evidence and political science evidence. First, I want to begin making it clear that this video is highly educational and not to impose personal beliefs on anyone. And second, the reason for this video is because first, I think it's interesting, and second, more political science and international relations content will be beneficial to the YouTube community. And myself, as a political science student, I decided to make this video. So let's begin. The beginning of Marxism is fairly simple, with Karl Marx, a German philosopher and scholar, writing a paper called The Communist Manifesto, in which he explains class struggle between the low, middle, and high. His ideas were highly influenced by the French Revolution. He explains on this paper, The Communist Manifesto, variables such as productivity, economic development, and labor, and explains that workers' revolution is needed in order for capitalism to be overtaken by communism. And when workers don't gather and take the streets, then capitalism will eventually fall because it will become a victim of its own success, which he explains in his famous book Imperialism, the Final Stage of Capitalism. Moreover, he adds that when workers don't get the compensation equal to their labor they're producing, class struggle is going to happen. And because capitalist societies will only pursue more and more profit, the gap will become bigger and bigger as time goes by. This gap between the high and the low classes will become bigger until society becomes dysfunctional. And therefore, the fall of capitalism will happen. However, Marxism has developed a lot since its founding in the 19th century. And in the late 20th century, we saw the rise of neo-Marxism, which gained a lot of traction. This theory, which explains a lot of the friction we see within states, but it goes farther and explains the dynamics of the international system. For example, in neo-Marxism, friction between the global south and the global north are explained. In addition, the struggle between the developed and underdeveloped countries gained traction. First, under neo-Marxism, it is argued that the more wealth inequality in the international system, the less stability we will see in the international system. Therefore, countries should strive to spread the wealth within their borders, but also among the region. We see this taking place in Europe and the European Union, in which ever since World War II, integration has been on the forefront of the European region, since it has shown to provide more stability for the region, which was the main problem with Europe in the early 20th century, in which economic disparities between countries led to nationalism and hatred between each other, and therefore leading to wars. However, this could also be seen in the United States with the creation of the IMF and the World Bank, or organizations such as USAID, which are organizations that promote development in the South. Why? Well, first, for national interest, but also the United States knows that fundamentally a world in which wealth is concentrated in one country or region will lead to an unstable, unfunctional world. This theory and idea of Lenin and Marx will be later amplified by Wallerstein and his world system theories, in which he divides the international system into three qualitative categories: core, periphery, and semi-periphery. To explain the state of the world system, he explains that core countries are developed, industrialized countries. Semi-periphery countries are countries that have high young population and are industrializing. And third, periphery, which are countries with high birth rates and high farming industry. Lenin uses Wallerstein theory to explain the dynamic of the international order, in which he says that core countries use the semi-periphery to buy cheap products, and the periphery is inherently abused because first, the core countries purchase power disparity, and second, they can always take the best of the periphery and replicate it or transport it into the core. This will always create a buckle or infinite poverty trap for the South and the periphery. Lenin says that this is why the rally against capitalism should not stop in semi and periphery countries. He further explains this point by introducing a chapter called The Case for International Organization, in which he explains that countries in the periphery are required to obtain help from international organizations such as the IMF or the World Bank to prevent the further declining of their economies. However, most of these organizations have their roots in the developed countries, which leads to core countries deciding who is going to develop and who is not. He also introduces the power struggle between hegemonies. He introduces this idea to explain the disappearance of culture, hegemonization of cultures, and to critique globalism, and therefore trade with no regulation and with no protection of local industries. He says that the world has become a struggle between hegemonies, in which he describes that countries are just competing to impose religion, economic and cultural beliefs around the globe, proved to be the most successful tool to establish good alliances. Marxism and neo-Marxism has proven to be wrong in many of its ideas, but really correct in many others. And this is what we explore in the next part of this video. First, capitalism and democracy has proven to be the single most useful thing to decrease extreme poverty. I will not dive deep in this section of this video since I assume if you're watching this, you know the benefits of open economies and democratic values. Second, the poverty trap idea. This notion that poor countries will always be poor because of the global norm. And well, this idea was disproved by European states and many Asian countries in the 70s, such as Dubai, Poland, Malaysia, South Korea, China, and many others, who have opened their economies and have seen the fruits of globalism and trade. Third, Marxism really made a bad point when it came to culture in the new globalism era. Instead of arguing that globalism will lead to cultural homogenization, I will argue that globalism is leading to a creation of new culture and ideas. This is further proved by increasingly participation of multiculturalism by new generations. Marxism and neo-Marxism, in my opinion, should not be looked over or ignored. However, I think they provide some fair and good points that contribute a lot to political science and international relations. For example, first, I think that his most successful points and ideas is the economic integration ideas, which, as mentioned before, imply that disparity in the international system will only increase inequality and therefore decrease stability in the international system, which in my opinion is on point. And this is why we see many integration projects around the world, from NATO to the European Union to NAFTA, and even in developing countries such as BRICS. These projects prove that countries agree in one thing, and that is that inequality is bad for the international system, and therefore they try their best to decrease this inequality. And finally, I think Lenin did a great job connecting Wallerstein world system theories and Marxism, and trying to explain the dynamics of the international system, in which he explains dispersion power disparity and some of the abuses we see on the core to the periphery. Thank you for watching this video. Again, this is highly educational, made to open a debate. Again, if you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe to my channel and check out other videos on my channels that are similar to this. I make videos of political science every week.